Welcome back to the channel, and here we go, another episode of Real Estate Stories. Today we're going to talk to you guys about some extremely difficult conversations, and it's not really that the conversations are that difficult, it's that most of you real estate agents out there haven't had these conversations in a few years.
Yeah.
Of course, we have Michelle Cohan. Hey, Michelle.
Hey, everyone.
All right, so what are we talking about, Michelle?
That terrible conversation we have to have with a seller when your property has been out there for too long and no offers. What do we have to do?
Yeah, so I'll argue, all right, this is maybe going back to a normal market. I think that we've had a pretty crazy market for the last 3.5 years. And what we're noticing here in South Jersey is that the last 60 days or so, it's changed, right? I don't think it's changed where we're seeing numbers tumble as far as prices go, but the demand has changed.
Yeah.
Right? So what's a good rule of thumb for price improvements, as we like to call them?
For us, if there have been 10 showings with 0 offers, there's an issue.
Yep, exactly. And that is absolutely true, I believe, in any market. I've worked in this industry through up markets, down markets, this recent crazy market. And as a good rule of thumb, 10 showings, no offers, usually an indication that the home is priced too high. Very, very important there, right? Yeah. So then what we have to do is we have to improve the price. And by the way, when we talk about feedback, we ask for feedback every time a house is shown.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, I would say half the time the feedback is pretty vague. And most of the time, the showing agent isn't really giving us any constructive feedback on pricing, especially if the client's just not interested, right? But when a buyer feels that a home is overpriced, they often won't even make the offer.
Mm-hmm.
We go back to a so-called normal market or balanced market like 2019, statistically, what we would find is that if a house is priced correctly, whatever the heck that means, guys, if a house is priced correctly, that in our service area, that home was going under contract in less than 30 days. And typically the list price to sale price ratio was somewhere in the 97 to 98% range.
Right.
Because buyers don't really want to lowball, but I think now they're in a different mindset. I think they're getting pickier.
Very.
Are you seeing that? Are
Yeah.
you seeing that?
100%.
Yeah. Especially if the home's been on the market for a little bit, the first thing they go is, why hasn't it sold?
What's wrong with this house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that. I think that not that long ago, for quite a while, we were going on listing appointments. And if all the comps were saying that this particular house was worth $375, and the seller said, no, let's try for $390.
We were
As
okay.
a real estate agent, we'd be like, okay, we'll try that. Because the market was doing some really stupid things. But I think those stupid things are going away, and they're going away fast.
Yeah.
So now the question is, are we heroes or are we villains?
Depends. That's a scary thought.
I know. A lot of people thought you guys out there, you thought your real estate agent was a hero the last 3.5 years. And they may have been. There's a lot of hero real estate agents out there. But in reality, the demand was so strong that even a mediocre agent could have been a hero.
Yeah, agreed.
It's just true. It's just true. And now when you have to have a conversation and say, and I've just had some of these conversations, well, I think we need to be at this price. We've had this many showings. What do you think? This is what I think, I think we're overdue to get it to this price. I actually had that with 2 listings recently. And both sellers recently complied with what my suggestions were. They were very hesitant at first, but both have been on the market too long and have had too many showings. They both recently complied, and both of them this week got acceptable offers.
Great. Yeah.
Not that I'm a hero,
Yeah.
because they're not thrilled with it either. But the reality is, as a real estate agent, while we interpret the market, we don't make the market, we interpret the market, we provide professional guidance, and then we know that if our clients comply, they're gonna end up, hopefully, if we're doing our job correctly, they're gonna end up pretty darn close to that list price.
Correct.
Yeah,
It's a hard conversation.
it is. It
Only
gets
because they
easier.
look at you and say, this is the price that you told me in the beginning.
Yeah, well, it depends when you met too, right?
Sure.
If you met and you started that relationship with a new prospective seller and they've had to get the house ready and tighten up some other loose ends, and that conversation was last spring, that was a different market.
And if you look at the data that we look at, which is 6 months, 6 months ago was like another world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We see a lot of data out there. We see days on market increasing. We see what we call back to active, meaning contracts that came apart. Those numbers are increasing. So we don't know the details of every transaction, but we could speculate that buyers are getting a little more nervous.
Sure.
And things are happening during home inspections sometimes, or attorney review periods.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's kind of say that I know it's weird in a way. It kind of went from crazy, because I think arguably it was crazy for a while, to kind of like there was a blip of normalcy, but
Right.
really now it's actually on the slower side. Some of the
Definitely.
stats go back to 2008, 2009, which is crazy, but I don't believe that it's going to stay there.
I guess historically, I mean, we'll start to go back up like we've always done. I mean, like our team has always done.
I'm not worried about that. I just think I'm talking in general terms, like the market. I don't think it's going to, I don't think that this is an indication of the market really just grinding to a halt.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys watching this, I made a video a few weeks ago about the market crashing. I don't think it's crashing, but I think we have three things at play here, which is important. And that video is like a few videos back for those of you who are watching. If I remember, I'll link it up above. You have interest rates, which are hovering very close to 8%. So that's a pretty big deal for some people. Although my first house, the interest rates were higher than that.
Yeah.
But okay, it was a long time ago. You have student loan repayment right now, back in action, 3.5 years later with no payments. So I think that there's two things that's like a double piece, because there's people that can't make their payments. I'm sorry, there's people that can't get qualified for a house, right? Because their debt is really, really being counted now. Or if they can get qualified, they're choosing not to buy a house because they're nervous, because they're making that student loan payment. It could be a couple of $100 a month. It could be $1,000 a month. I don't know. Right. And then there's something we haven't seen in a really long time. Seasonality. Seasonality. It's supposed to slow down in the fall a little bit. So I think that that's just the little extra kick to the curb of what we're seeing. But I think that the biggest thing are interest rates and student loans, and that's what's impacting right now. And the seasonality is just something that we haven't seen in almost 4 years. But the ingredients that we have in place right now in real estate, it's a very different recipe than what happened back. I quoted those stats from 2008. It's very different, very, very different. So we still have an extreme shortage of inventory, and there are still homes that are getting multiple offers in a weekend, So
again, depends where it is. It's always location.
True, it's location, but if you overprice your house today, it will sit. It will sit. So keep an open mind. Actually, I said 2 listings recently. Now there's another one that just came to mind. 3 listings. We had 3 listings on the team recently in the last few weeks that were showing. Great, marketing's working. We're bringing people in the door, showing, no offers. I think we need to be here. And begrudgingly, one of them was like, yeah, no problem. The other couple of them were begrudgingly no, and then eventually they did. All 3 of those ended up getting acceptable offers in the last week to 10 days.
Right.
So again, we don't know everything. right? We don't know everything, but we can interpret the data, and we're really in touch with that stuff. So in this market, it's extremely price sensitive right now. And I don't recommend speculating up on any properties anymore. That's what was going on for a while. And that just didn't even make sense. But the market was proving that it was working. So everybody kept doing it.
Yep.
But I think those days are over.
Or at least halted.
Halted. Yeah, it could come back with some. I think the spring again, it'll pick back up. I don't know. I don't think we're going to experience the insanity. You know, you talk about the pandemic and the low interest rates and all that, and all the pent up demand. It was just crazy. So that kind of recipe, I don't know if we're going to see that again at some point, but who the heck knows?
But if the interest rates go down, we'll see a little bit better going back to what it was in a sense.
Oh, yeah. It's going to go down. It's an election year next year. Of course, the interest rates are coming down. Whoever you like, love, or hate, it doesn't matter. They always lower the rates because they want votes.
Right.
Come on. All right, cool. Michelle, thank you for joining us again today.
My pleasure.
All right, guys, if you're new to our channel or you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment below. We really appreciate it, and we will see you again real soon.